Hi and welcome to Holistic Stroke Solutions. My name is Dr. Arjan Kuipers. I've been a clinician for over 30 years, neuroscientist, and my main topic of interest is stroke rehabilitation. I do this together with my partner Linda Radestad, who suffered a severe stroke herself and is now an author and inventor. In Holistic Stroke Solutions, we go beyond conventional protocols and we dive deep into the missing links and loose ends of stroke rehabilitation. And with Holistic Stroke Solutions, we strive to create a paradigm shift in how you're thinking about stroke rehabilitation and how you can apply this in your home situation. The main topics that we will cover in the upcoming episodes are disconnection, synchronization within the central nervous system, brain imbalances, neuroinflammation, changes in center of pressure or spatial awareness, bilateral and quadrupedal training, and lifestyle factors. In this introductory episode, we will go into the background of these topics and try to spark your interest to attend the coming episodes. We will try to keep the episodes short so you can keep your attention on the topic, which is often a problem after a stroke. So they will be around 20, max 30 minutes. So let's start. Disconnection. Why are we going to talk about disconnection? Well, every stroke survivor is dealing with disconnection. The parts that are affected by the stroke become disconnected from the rest of the central nervous system and the rest of the body. That is a big problem because this disconnection can over time create more dysfunction in how you use your limbs, how you direct your body, and is often not taken into account enough. What it means, disconnection, is that the areas that are affected by the stroke, they become isolated. And other parts around the stroke area or in the opposite hemisphere or in other parts of the central nervous system start to take over function. And in that way, you create imbalances in how the brain directs physical functions. When you know more about this and you take this into consideration, we know from research that you get better results. So we should always strive to reconnect the disconnected areas. So that's going to be a big topic in our upcoming episodes. Another topic is huge as well. That is synchronization within the central nervous system. After a stroke, everything becomes desynchronized. What do I mean with this? For example, Linda has told for a long time, even if it has gotten way better now, that every day she basically has to start thinking about how to walk again. And this is not just Linda, this is almost all the stroke survivors that we have seen in our intensive trainings say the same. We have to think all the walking steps out, and it's not synchronized, it is not fluent. In the upcoming episodes, we're going to talk in depth about synchronization and desynchronization within the nervous system, so you don't have to go through all the steps again. And we try to synchronize function between the arms, the legs, between the central nervous system and the extremities, and what kind of training methods you can use to accomplish this. For example, synchronization can be accomplished by whole body movements, by crossing midline, so we start reconnecting the extremities, the brainstem, the two hemispheres. So this is going to probably cover a couple of episodes. It's can be a complicated topic, but we're going to try to break it down so you understand it and can start using it in the home situation. Another topic is imbalances in brain function. Next to disconnection and synchronization, this is a huge topic. For a simple reason that once an area of the brain starts to become dysfunctional or less active, other parts that are still functioning are being used to take over function. And in effect, in the long run, you create imbalances that become bigger and bigger. A term that explains this is diascasis. It means that connected areas to the area that is affected by a stroke become dysfunctional as well. And so what we see, if people don't keep training, reconnecting and synchronization, that over time we create imbalances that become bigger over time and can start problems that were not there to start off with. All stroke survivors also have to deal with so-called neuroinflammation. This is why your central nervous system is in chaos after a stroke. What happens is the body recognizes what happened. There's basically a shock situation. You have to clear out damage that has been done. Your immune system of the head kicks in. This is so-called neuroinflammation. You start a low-grade inflammatory state to get rid of all the debris, reorganize everything, which is a good thing. But the problem in the head is that the immune system is very easily triggered into being on all the time. Neuroinflammation can cause fatigue, brain fog, can cause headaches, it can cause an inability to do things, which is functional in the start because you have to keep quiet after a stroke to go through the repair phase. But after that, it can really come on very quickly when you are tired, when you have less sleep, when you overexerted yourself, when you're doing new things, the neuroinflammation can kick in again. Luckily, there's a lot of things you can do in a home situation to counteract this neuroinflammation. And although this is different for all stroke survivors, just like no stroke is the same, it's important to realize that this is going on and take measures in lifestyle, for example in sleep, or take supplements or food substances that will help regulate the immune system, so it is not interfering with your rehabilitation efforts. Another topic that is under-recognized and almost never looked at and is a fact for everyone after a stroke or anything that happens within the central nervous system, where you put your center of pressure means your pressure point, which is normally in between your two legs, starts to shift. So we know, for example, whenever something happens to the the neocortex, we see shifts backwards. So your center of pressure starts to shift from in between your legs to your back. And what you do is you start to adopt a so-called camptocormic posture where you counteract this shift backwards. Most falls after a stroke, especially a middle cerebral artery stroke, happens when you go back to one side, when you turn into that side and suddenly you cannot hold yourself because you've put yourself on the limits of stability, which don't worry, you can forget all these terms. We're going to talk about this at length in the episodes. But this is a huge topic because most people don't realize when you try to regain function, for example, in arm or a leg, and you do this with a changed perception of where you are in space, you're basically training in a whole new situation. Ideally, you train or rehabilitate in an optimal center of pressure state. So, in other words, we have to address this to get more optimized rehabilitation. The last topic that I will briefly talk about in this episode is lifestyle changes. What good is it when you don't sleep well and your nervous system is tired and cannot clear out debris or repair itself when you have optimal sleep situation? Lifestyle changes comprise of sleep, how you exercise, gut function. We talk about autonomic nervous system, vagus function. It's a huge topic in stroke rehabilitation at this moment. So in the upcoming episodes, you are going to hear more about disconnection, synchronization, changes in balance in brain function, changes in center of pressure. We're going to talk about neuroinflammation, and we have this huge topic of lifestyle that can support better rehabilitation. Remember, in holistic stroke solutions, we go beyond the standard protocols. We look at all the factors that can make you recover faster. If you have not done so already, please subscribe to these episodes so you get notified for upcoming episodes. Thank you so much for your attention. Until the next episode.